Could it be the treasures, hidden gifts and pleasures, unwrapped in smooth skin? Humbled now by time, I find so much I still must begin. So many days, forever gone, but so many undiscovered joys still lie beyond. Could it be the fine lines etched upon my lifetime trace a journey of the soul, like roads are leading home through the night? Each line is a path I followed in the time of my life. It's lovely how the best wine aged until the right time tastes of earth and liquid sun. For years it steeps in darkness, mellowing till it is dawn. So many days, now no more. It's so many sweet, sweet rewards worth waiting for. I believe a reason waits for its due season to unveil its mystery, like a brand new day after a long twilight. Something's always dawning in the time of my life. Now it seems the rush times, busy, hurry, crush times tell me I must have it all, be it all right now. Yes, the time is slipping, it's tempting to be gripping onto youth and foolish pride, but I won't hide from time, from the light. So I'll go on living, having the time of my life. time of my life. My life, I'm having the time of my life. Why a concert? Because today I am doing what I said. I'm overcoming the resistance factor because right after I finish this scope, I'm taking this guitar and this set of vocal cords and these issues, and I'm going to the cafe where I'm going to audition and try to get a gig. Now, it's not like some big heavy duty thing, but you know, there's always resistance when it's related to the work you're called to do. And the world may see it as very small, but if it's related to the work you need to do, the thing you need to bring, the you that needs to show up, the more of Jesus that needs to manifest, there will always be resistance. And that points us to purpose. And resistance is just a nice, polite word for fear. The kind of fear that manifests in us running, avoiding, sublimating, manipulating, tricky trickstering, where we work around, we don't pick up the phone, we don't answer our messages, we don't show up, we find a reason not to go, not to try, not to exercise, not to practice, all those things. And so, you know, I'm a firm believer that I can't come here and spout off about things that I'm not doing and living. And the last couple of weeks, because of the great Tammy, I know, because of what I went through and the cost to do the other stuff, important, patriot stuff, I don't regret it. There was a cost to that. And I had to realize that I have some choices to make. And while the world may see that, and I may see that as the crisis that needs to continually be solved, the deeper resistance is doing this, is showing up here. And you know what? It's fun because I told my son, you know, I've got some time, I'm doing some alone time here. And he's like, Mom, you okay? I'm like, yeah, actually, you know, it's actually kind of a bit of a lonely time, but it's a God lonely, you know, where it seems like a God thing to be deprived of a lot of stimulation and stuff that keeps you unaware of what's really happening and going on inside you. And so I said, so what am I going to do? Let's say I've got this and I'm thinking of this, and I'm going to go do a gig on Sunday. And he's like, wow, Mom, you know, that's really cool. And I told him where, and I noticed that there's probably a couple other gigs I could get down here. And he goes, but you know, Mom, you're having a God lonely time too. Yeah, there you go. I realized, so he said, Mom, you know, he was trying to like lower my expectations because he knows how many years I've done gigs. Given all my issues, I always managed to do a lot more. You know, I just managed to show up and do gigs and do things as part of that just continual whacking away at that performance anxiety and the fear and needing to do things. And the irony of having something to say and being terrified to say it is you work yourself up for a gig and then you go someplace and you're risking, right? And then you notice how few people pay any attention at all. And there's this moment where you go, wait a minute, I was so scared they would pay attention and now they're not even listening. That's the pain of the artist, by the way. That's the pain of the artist. That's the pain of having written the book, made the movie, created the album, done the song, performed, is that you will carry the deepest amount of commitment, energy, focus, and sacrifice for what you give to the world. The people around you will never know what it cost you to bring it. And as much as people are lauded in the pop culture, the reality is very few people will take the time to tell an artist, a musician, an author, a writer, a painter, a mom, someone who is doing the art of life, very few people will take the time to say, I saw what you did. I heard what you did. That was extraordinary. That touched me. I was exchanging a little thing with Praying Medic a couple of years ago, and he actually had it down to a percentage of people who read a book who will ever tell the author that it meant something to them. It's a very low percentage. Or a percentage of people that will read the book and take the time to review it. Unless, of course, it's controversial and you're getting piled on and you're getting bullied. That's easy. It's easy to get yourself bullied and get the attention for that. But the irony of being the artist is you can be terrified that if people do listen, you'll screw up and you won't be good enough. You'll mess up. Like I will. I'm just going to tell you right now. The piece that I just played for you, I haven't played in years. And I started with that on purpose because it's going to be one of my audition pieces in a few minutes. And there were brain glitches in it. So that's the way it is. But the irony of all of the anxiety and all the pain that goes into bringing your art to the world, will it be good enough, is that you'll wake up one day and you'll go, but so few people were listening. It's a sad thing. It's a sad thing. But my son said to me, he was trying to, now, Mom, when you go and play at their thing, most people are just there to talk. So you're going to be mostly ambient, And I said to him, Hun. No, I didn't say Hun because I don't say Hun. If you say Hun a lot, it requires you to chew gum at the same time. Thank you, Warrior Poem. The reality is that I said to him, I'm going because I need to sing, not because I need them to listen. Do you know how many years it took me to get to that point? Because even though the deepest work in an artist is to allow the ego to be crushed, just like the deepest work in a fear-free life is to allow the ego to be crushed so you can be seen and celebrated and loved and lovable in your mess, in your humanity, right? And so and also you got to realize that part of overcoming stage fright and performance anxiety is putting yourself in situations where it is likelier that people are actually giving you their attention, at least some of it, because you need that thing to kick off the fight or flight responses so you can learn how to turn them off. See, what happens in live performance, still for me, is that depending on the intensity of the risk, I will have fight or flight, always, but fight or flight responses that go, usually it starts with a gulping and a little bit of like disorientation in my brain. And I have to be there to shepherd my brain with my mind and turn down those responses and stay focused and stay present in the music and stay aware that Holy Spirit is using my mind to bring back the music, that it'll be there when I need it. Just like, generally speaking, when it comes to public speaking, I don't worry about the next things I'm going to say because I just sense and believe that what I need to say will be there. But it has not always been there by any means related to music. I've had those terrifying forget and feel like you're naked in front of a whole audience and you blank out thing. And that's where a lot of that brain trauma came from. But it was interesting because after all these years of needing an audience to get well and needing an audience to overcome, I still need an audience, but I don't need the audience for the same reason. And this is what will happen to you. You'll need the audience because they will be your place to practice and just to show up for others, right? To make it about giving it. But you don't need them there to make you the center of their life for you to be okay. You don't need them to go, wow, that was the best thing I ever heard, or that was the most amazing book, or the most amazing speech, or the most amazing whatever, or the most, it's like being a cook. I often think to myself, I can cook and I can cook really well. But I don't like to cook. I don't think about it. In terms of creativity, my creativity with food is very low. And I often think that performance is a lot like cooking an amazing meal. A cook will spend hours and hours and hours buying the stuff, prepping the stuff, timing it, creating the sauces and the things and putting it all together. Hours and hours and hours for a super fancy meal, or anything that's out of the ordinary that requires some thought, some special spices or anything. And they'll taste and they'll get it just right and they'll serve it up. And they get the, wow, this is delicious, yum, yum, right? For very little amount of time around the table. Have you noticed that? It's kind of an unrequited love situation. Most arts are. You will, what did it cost Vincent van Gogh to paint? Only an ear, maybe some mental illness, maybe, living in poverty. And we go and see his work. We'll stand in front of the sunflowers, and then we stand in front of the boats. That we look at. And it is an art in and of itself to allow art to touch you. It is an art to be developed to allow the gifts of other people to reach you and allow yourself to complete the loop of giving them a way to touch you and a way to let them know that they touched you. That's an art. And most people don't develop that, right? So the irony of having something amazing from heaven to bring is that it'll be like a big meal and everyone goes, oh, that's so good, delicious. They'll comment on it a while. And then everyone, if it's a great dinner, will spend not a ton of time talking about the meal. They'll yum it. They'll ask for more. The cook, the chef will watch how they interact with it. Will watch how much they eat. Do they want more? But it's the reality is the beautiful meal that's so delicious that you just if it was sitting on top of your head, your tongue would beat your brains out trying to get to it, kind of food, right? It takes a background position. That's one of the things about being an artist, about being a mother. You pour it all out, and then you wind up having to be the background. You spent the hours creating costume for, your kids' play, and you rehearse the lines with the child, and you put the little makeup on the girl and helped her cope. And in the end, you step into the background. And isn't that the irony of the life well lived, the Christ-like life, is that the pain, the energy that I go through to bring my gifts to the world to overcome winds up being an offering that's poured out secretly, ultimately, to God. And the healeder you get, the less you need the people around you to fill in those gaps. You have the peace of knowing you brought it. So, and you are the chef that has to sit, you get your kudos, I love, and you know what a great chef you are, because everybody always wants to go to your house for dinner, right? And then this is the unrequited nature of good work, of God work, is that we have to overcome our fear of rejection. We have to overcome our fear of not enoughness, of being bad at the thing we love. That requires us being willing to have attention focused on our gifts. We can no longer hide. I have to go and play for people. I have to be heard. But in the end, once I've overcome all of that, and once you've overcome all of that, it's amazing how we have to let go of getting anything from the audience, getting anything from other people. And I for the first time after however many years of doing this, after my son said, and I thought about it because, there's gigs and there's gigs, right? There's gigs where it's a high profile gig and you're and then there's these kind of gigs where you play in cafes and you play in restaurants and stuff like that. And they all have their place. And I thought to myself, this is a perfect thing because, first of all, it was a divine appointment type of thing. And it's just under my nose. And I was in there the other day, and the guy always plays jazz music in his restaurant, which I love, beautiful trio jazz. And I said, hey, I'm a jazz musician. And he goes, well, we've thought about having music here. And I said, well, we should talk about that. It was like sort of dropped on my lap. And then And then with all the stuff that God is saying to me, Julie, you can give your life to the crisis and to this other arena, but really you have to think about what it's going to cost you, right? And where your artist heart is. And so I set up this little audition today, and I was so happy to say to my son, I'm doing this because I need to sing, not because I need to listen. And that is what is the work I need to do. That's the work I need to do, because what was happening, and I'm just sharing this story because I know there's always an analog in other people's lives. When something goes unused long enough, the temptation is to think it won't be used again, that was over. Those days are over, right? My Mac, and I better plug the computer in. Hang on. And so, I started broadcasting and teaching, mentoring, writing, but I haven't done a lot of the jazz music, although I would very much like to. And I was starting to think, oh, well, ho-hum, I guess that's over. I guess that part of my life is over. What do you expect, Julie? You're in a different stage. You're not a spring chicken anymore, blah, blah, blah. So, you've done it. You did some things. You got over, you had some milestones. Maybe it's time for you to be a Walmart grader. And I'm serious. That's how that rolls. But my deeper intuition in the spirit is that that's exactly 100% wrong. That there's a reason why God spends decades seasoning people out of our egos, out of our pain, out of our fear, so we can finally bring the burnished offerings of our gifts, our talents, our work, our life to the world. And so, you don't get solid gold, white-haired old people out of nowhere, right? You don't get people whose lives are that refined out of nowhere. It takes decades and decades and decades. So does God just drop us off at the old folks' home or the villages in Florida and say, golf it away? Or are we stepping into a time when the sons and daughters that are arising and being loosed into the earth, have some wrinkles, have some worn out treads, have some experience? And should we be parking things and tucking them away? Should we allow them to be put to bed? Should we be giving that up and going, well, it's interesting because if you've done your job right as a parent, oh, yay, preacher. If you've done your job right as a parent, you're ready to hand over the reins of ruling and reigning to the next generation, and your children begin to shine. That's where I am with my kids, who are 29, 24, and 19. And they are beyond all I could have ever imagined. And I was terrified as a parent. I cried out to God and wept, and I said, you have to help me, because I'm going to ruin these kids. I'm terrified of the world. I'm a very neurotic person. If you don't change me, I'm going to raise me some weird kids. And hello, Lady Grace. And so God in his mercy then heard my prayers and also my therapy. The counsel, the therapy, the marriage work we did, the inner healing work and stuff. And I've learned how to, I think we can reproduce that a lot faster now. We don't need to take, I don't think we need, the next people don't have to take the decades we took to get where we are. But nevertheless, the sons and daughters that God is releasing into the earth, I think we're going to have wrinkles. I think we're going to have the fine lines of life experience. We're going to have burnished, antique talents, right? Vintage talents, vintage experiences. So for us to simply tuck those away and say, well, let the kids have it, I don't think so. I think there's a reason why God's positioned the generations the way he has. So it's an interesting thing to learn to move out of the way for the next generation, but remaining structurally important for the entire show to go on, remaining there as the roots and the depth and reproducing more and more life and more art and more relationship and goodness. And it's interesting because as your body changes and your experience changes and you go through the stuff that I just went through, you kind of want to go, ooh, maybe I'm a little worn out, around the edges. But so I'm going to go do my audition as soon as this is over, and you guys are my warm up. Could you believe someone's crazy about you? That it's true even though it's too good to be true. Could you believe you are loved? Could you believe you don't know all there is? That there might be much more to your life than just this? Could you believe you are loved? So break out the marshmallows, marbles, and jacks. Splash in some puddles and question some facts. It's possibly possible you could relax and dance as you choose to believe you are loved. Could you believe in a truly free lunch with no fine print that comes back to bite you a bunch? Could you believe you are loved? Could you believe that your ticket got paid, that your meter was fed with coins someone else gave? Could you believe you are loved? So break out the popsicles, noodles, and fries. Doubt all your doubts as you gaze at the skies. Surrender the moment, prepare for surprise, and dance as you choose to believe you are loved. So easy to say, it just spins off the tongue. But what is it like to be thoroughly, matchlessly free, so freely loved? Love, 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 love. Could you believe someone knows all your tricks, all your schemes, and the way you get in your last licks? Could you believe you are loved? Could you believe that despite who you are, that you're worth all the effort to woo from afar? Would you believe you are loved? So break out the bubblegum, kick off your shoes. When you're utterly loved, there's so little to lose. So throw open your heart and receive the good news, and dance as you choose to believe. Dance as you choose to receive. Dance as you choose to believe. You are loved, 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 loved. You are loved. Now, one of the risk factors about being me, I'm going to play one more song and then I'm going to pack up and I'm going to go do my audition. One of the risk factors for being me is that I don't do cover songs. Very rarely, very, very rarely ever do I do somebody else's music. I have no interest in it and I suck at it generally unless I've written an arrangement myself. One thing I definitely don't do is karaoke. I thought to myself, by the way, thank you. I thought to myself, hey, I can do all this hard stuff. Did you see how hard my music is? My music is hard. It's difficult music. It's complicated music. And so I thought, karaoke, you know, I'll tell you, we went out to a karaoke bar, and, you know, they had the lyrics, and it was a song, you know, that you think you know because you know everything that's been on the radio forever. You guys, I was pitiful. I was horrible. It was like embarrassingly bad. Bad, bad, bad. First of all, I mean, you have to care about, I think, you know, I don't give a flying flip about being good at any of that music. But you'd think that with the musical background I have, that I could at least pull it off. Not really. And I think that's hilarious. And so I know myself well enough to know that they're going to ask me when I get there. So, you know, can you play some, you know, standards? And I'm going to go, no, really, I can't. This is it. This is what I play. But I'm not, and I'm going to play for my breakfast. I don't, you know. And so that's always a calculated risk. I know, even though it's really scary for me to show up and play in some settings, I know that what I write is really special. But you know what, friends? A lot of people don't get that. They want what they know, what they hear, and what they expect to hear in a cafe or whatever. So one of the calculated risks today is they might go, Julie, that's really cool, but you know, that's not our thing. We want standards, whatever. They could literally turn around and say, all this great music, not thanks so much. I'll, you know, pay for your breakfast. Don't sing for it. So, when I tried, she wished I could sing. I love original music. That's just how I roll. I'm just telling you that I'm doing what I said I needed to do. I'm showing up and I'm doing some stuff that could make me uncomfortable. It's going to make me uncomfortable. It might make them uncomfortable that I show up this way. But the other thing I'm thinking is, hey, these really cool people we met, it was so cool because we got down here and we're like, we bought this condo. We still live in the farm and all that, but we bought the condo and I was like, well, where's the coffee? Where's the coffee place? Really hard to find anything. So we found this little hole in the wall. And we walked in and we don't wear masks, and we said, we don't wear masks, are you cool? They were like, we're totally fine with that. So immediate friendship. We started hanging out with them, and I think it's a God thing. I think we're supposed to have this, you know, influence there. So it'll be interesting to see how it happens. And besides which, how often do you have somebody show up at your restaurant and say, I'm just going to sing some music for you? I mean, I got to think that's something of a gift. Thank you, Warrior Poem. All right, so I'm going to play my last song that I'm going to, I don't know how many songs I need to play for them, but I'm ready with 3. And they all tricky. This one, to me, really sums up getting free, really getting free, and getting comfortable with the sloppiness of his treasure in this earthen vessel and feeling loved anyway. It's called Here I Am. Here I stand, my flag planted in your heart, and I won't give an inch of this ground. Here I am, a seed in your hand, lost in your love, I am found. I am found. Here I am now, nothing hidden from your gaze, utterly exposed, yet unashamed. Here when your smile betrays that you truly see. Yeah, you love me just the same. Here I am now, gloriously flawed and worn, an open book you read so long ago. Here you are now, cherishing the pages that are torn, far bruised as you know. Yet you love me so. I am undefended from your splendid, unrelenting, passionate advance. Unconditional surrender is all I have to give, and it's oh so sweet to be so unafraid to love, unafraid to live. I am undefended from your splendid, unrelenting, passionate advance. Unconditional surrender is all I have to give, and it's oh so sweet to be so unafraid to love, unafraid to live. Here I stand now, gloriously free to take your hand, planted in your heart, for you love me as I am. And here I Well, thank you for helping me warm up. Thank you for helping me overcome the resistance, because I needed to put myself in a position where there was some people. Thank you, Grammy Pam. I needed to put myself in that position and to have your ears out there. And now we'll go and see what happens. We'll see what God wants to do. And can always say a little prayer. I want to bring his presence, and I want to touch these people's hearts. But you know what? Even if they don't listen, I got to sing. So let's do it. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? What work do you have to do? What are you resisting? there's a right amount of scared for you today. So you can go do something that scares you. And I'll meet you back here tomorrow and give you the report, okay? Talk to you soon.